Tonight in 9 News, early boost, third doses brought forward by a month amid growing concerns for protection against Omicron. Victorians rush to get their extra dose before a major vaccine hub closes its doors. The final countdown as Queensland prepares to reopen to the rest of the country. More than 80 killed and entire neighbourhoods flattened as tornadoes tear through several American states. And a marathon effort as thousands of runners lap up marvellous Melbourne.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Dougal Beattie.
Good evening. We're being urged to get COVID booster shots as early as possible amid rising concerns the Omicron variant is blunting the effects of vaccination. A third jab can now be given after 5 months, while Moderna has also been given the green light as a booster. Political editor Chris Uhlmann has the latest from Canberra.
Everyone copes in their own way.
Flex or loose or...
As the Health Minister braces for a booster.
Done. How quick was that?
And announces a faster rollout of a third jab for the nation.
That the time frame for the boosters be brought forward from 6 months to 5 months.
Adding a new mRNA shot to the locker.
So if you're 18 and over, you can have the Pfizer or the Moderna wherever you are as a booster.
All work together well in combating COVID-19.
Mixing and matching AstraZeneca and Pfizer is perfectly fine. In fact, if you have Pfizer after AstraZeneca, you get even higher antibody levels.
Moving the booster date forward a month means 2 million more Australians will be eligible for a third jab by the end of December, with 5 million Moderna doses already in Australia and more than that in Pfizer. There is already enough supply here to cover all adults eligible for boosters by January 31, and the first doses for 5 to 11-year-olds.
A booster does improve your immunity against Omicron, and the immunity against Omicron isn't great after 2 doses, so that is a reasonable compromise to give the booster 5 months after the second dose.
There's no evidence the Omicron variant is more harmful, but it appears more transmissible, and that has some health officials worried.
But boosters are very important to give that extra immunity, particularly as the Omicron variant is likely to spread around the world.
So prepare to roll up your sleeve again.
I'll get you a special band-aid as well.
Oh, yeah.
And endure a little pain for a lot of gain. Chris Uhlmann, 9 News.
Victorians have wasted no time coming forward for an earlier booster shot, and as a major city vaccination hub closes, it's had one final surge in bookings. Adam Hegarty reports.
In the Convention Centre foyer, a missable but monumental milestone. Jeff's Shed, a hub of activity but no longer for a jab. All but empty, tonight its vaccine hub shuts its doors.
Thanks, Victoria. Thank you, Victoria, for getting vaccinated.
After months of lines, it's now rows and rows of empty booths.
It's very surreal, very strange.
While also very telling, the final vaccines were boosters for Victorians, bringing them forward the moment they could.
My 6 months is up at the end of December, and when I heard that they'd changed to 5 months boosters, I've decided to come in and get it done today.
Well, mine was due Boxing Day, so by bringing it forward now, it's a lot easier to do it now.
For most, it'll be at your GP or pharmacy. The Royal Exhibition Centre site will also shut down on Friday, with 92% now double dosed. And you can see that here. These dots show where they used to spread people out after their vaccination. Now it's just down to a few. They've gone from around 2,000 jabs a day to as low as 25. But today, on the final day, one last surge, 150 booster bookings.
Some people are coming forward for travelling reasons. There's a concern about, of course, the Omicron variant.
The unvaccinated contacted directly. Hi, please be prepared to receive a call shortly from the Department of Health regarding your COVID-19 vaccination. Because with another 1,069 new cases and 2 deaths, the method's changing, but the aim's the same.
To give Australia better access and earlier access to vaccines.
And Adam Hegarty joins us now live. Adam, has there been any further spread of the Omicron variant in Victoria?
Well, Dougal, no, not officially, but it is looking like that may change very, very soon if we can believe the numbers. We're told that officially there are 3 active cases of the Omicron variant in Victoria right now, but we're also being told tonight that there are 7 probable cases under investigation. Importantly, though, as we heard, it's still not being considered here to be any more severe, and we're seeing that reflected in some, albeit subtle, changes to the Victorian border tonight. From midnight, any of those travellers who were banned from those 8 South African countries, they will no longer have to do 2 weeks hotel quarantine. Dougal, provided they are fully vaccinated, it'll only be 72 hours in home isolation.
All right, Adam Hegarty, thank you. It's been one of the most contentious border closures in the COVID crisis, but in 8 hours, Queensland will finally reopen to the rest of the country. But the trip north is far from straightforward. Travellers are now being warned to prepare for long delays at checkpoints. Here's Mark Burrows.
The tarps are rolled up, the vans are hitched. Thousands are getting ready for the midnight run towards the Queensland border. Steve Kemp has been waiting 6 months to get into Queensland to see his family.
I've missed out on a daughter's weddings, 7 of my grandchildren's birthdays, Father's Day.
The border officially opens at 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. One of the first to cross, Neville Hansen. He's been critically ill and still wasn't allowed to go home in Queensland.
It's been traumatic. Yeah. It's soul destroying.
And the Scots in Port Macquarie. They crossed into New South Wales to bury Kim's mother and couldn't get back.
It's been horrific, really. We've had a horrible 4 months now, really, since Mum got sick.
Families and pensioners living on the borderline.
We've been here for 4 months, and that 4 months has cost us $11,200.
When you are sitting in a caravan, it gets complicated. To get into Queensland from a hotspot, you need proof of vaccination, a negative test within 72 hours and an entry pass. At 9:30 p.m. tonight, the Queensland Health website opens to the X Pass. That's for those who live on the border. At 11 p.m, you get to apply for the International Pass. And at 1 a.m, the G Pass for anyone who's been living in a hotspot.
Tonight's going to be pandemonium. We're really hoping that the system doesn't crash.
Queensland Police would prefer passes on the dashboard.
Now, who carries a printer with them in a car that runs on 12 volts?
At the last minute, some understanding.
If you can't print it, that's fine. Just make sure that it's, on your phone.
There's relief that months of uncertainty dealing with lockout red tape is coming to an end. If the Queensland Premier is looking for a pat on the back, she might struggle south of the Tweed.
We would love to put Anastasia in a caravan half as nice as ours and park her out here in the no man's land and then say, right, you can't get back to your home now.
Anastasia, she's being blamed for everything.
Now she's found another way of keeping us out. She's flooded all the rivers.
Mark Burrows, 9 News.
And Megan Gillespie joins us now live from the Gold Coast. Megan, just how many travellers are police expecting?
About 50,000 people are expected to be coming through these checkpoints, Dougal, and you can really feel the excitement here in Coolangatta. The Griffith Street checkpoint behind me has been moving pretty well today, but it's expected to be a completely different story tomorrow at 2 a.m. The border reopens at last to hotspots for those fully vaccinated and with a negative PCR test, but police have to check all of those things, and they say they're prepared, but it's going to cause delays of up to 4 hours, and it may be even longer because the required border passes don't go live online until later tonight. Take a listen.
As of 8:30 tonight, there will be the X Pass, and that's the border zone residents. As of 10 p.m, an international pass, and as of midnight, the G Pass, the one that comes from the hotspots.
This is months in the making. A lot of these people have been desperate to come home to Queensland for a long time, but they just may need to wait a little bit longer. The message is to hold off on leaving because there's expected to be peak traffic between 6 to 9 a.m, Dougal, so pack your patience.
All right, Megan Gillespie reporting live from the Gold Coast there. More than 84 people are dead after one of the largest tornado outbreaks in US history. The twisters tore through several states, flattening entire factories, trapping and killing workers inside. US correspondent Michael Genovese reports from Kentucky.
A small town in Kentucky blown off the map, Mayfield is home to about 10,000 people. None of them saw this coming.
This event is the worst, most devastating, most deadly tornado event in Kentucky's history.
This candle factory was one of the town's major employers. More than 100 people were working overtime to keep up with Christmas demand. When close to midnight, the building was obliterated, killing at least 70 and leaving others fighting for life.
I'm really scared. I'm trying to be cool, y'all, but I'm really scared because where I'm at, I'm like stuck underneath the wall, so like I'll be the last person to get out. But I know we'll be okay.
We did like a little rock, like this way, and then boom, everything came down on us, and all you heard was screams.
Ivy Williams is today searching for his wife of 30 years.
I want to find my wife. I want to find her and hope she's still somewhere safe.
The county courthouse is standing, barely. The jail next door is gone. Streets stripped bare, now a patchwork of cement slabs where homes once stood. Debris was recorded as high as 37,000 feet, the height at which commercial planes fly.
This is likely to be one of the largest tornado outbreaks in our history.
The storm cell generated more than 30 tornadoes in one night, claiming lives in 5 different states. In Illinois, at least 6 Amazon workers were killed inside a warehouse.
We're just worried sick. We just want to know if he's okay.
In Arkansas, a nursing home resident died when the walls gave way. Dozens trapped and injured. But it was Mayfield, Kentucky hit hardest.
Tornadoes that hit at night are twice as likely to be deadly. Often families are inside sleeping and there are less storm chasers out to raise the alarm.
The monster that mowed down Mayfield is potentially a record-breaking twister, 350 kilometres of carnage. Meteorologists say that if this is the path of a single tornado, then it's the longest trail of destruction ever recorded. In Mayfield, Kentucky, Michael Genovese, 9 News.
And Michael Genovese is in Mayfield, Kentucky for us tonight. Michael, questions are now being asked about early warning systems.
Yeah, that is the key question now, Dougal. How much warning did these workers actually have? Now, we know on a federal level that all US companies must have an emergency plan when it comes to tornadoes, and the local county here is adamant that its early warning systems were working, that tornado sirens were blaring and that phone alerts were sent out. They say that this was simply a tornado that was moving so fast and in the dark, and that's what made it so hard to track. Dougal.
All right, Michael Genovese, thank you. Liberal MP James Newbury has survived a pre-selection challenge for his seat at Brighton. Party leader Matthew Guy threw his support behind the sitting member this afternoon when votes were cast. It comes after veteran Liberal MP David Davis was defeated by newcomer Jess Wilson during pre-selection for the seat of Kew. Well, Melbourne has started moving once again with tens of thousands of runners racing around the city. It marks the largest marathon since the pandemic began, competitors finishing up with a lap of the MCG. Elizabeth Moss was among them.
Off and racing, thousands of runners hit the road at Rod Laver. The Melbourne Marathon back in a big way. 2 days of races across the CBD.
It's been up and down. We thought we were on, we were off. It's, you know, we diced with cancellation and we're just so lucky to be able to stage this year after everything that's gone on.
Cheered along the way with music and refreshments.
Just keep going, guys, so close.
Before a fitting final lap on the famous turf at the G. First across the line, an Olympian, of course.
Pretty sore. Yeah, I can't really move too well right now, so I'm glad it's over.
And for the women, Tasmania's Millie Clark, with a PB no less.
I just used the crowd and used people I knew. And you have a crowd and you have people cheering, you forget about everything and it's just awesome.
Whether it was your first time...
Hey, that was a struggle. A real struggle.
Or you're a seasoned professional.
How many is this now?
43.
For many, today marked a special milestone. This was Ian Gainey's lifetime goal and a record, the first wheelchair athlete to complete the Melbourne race this many times.
I never ever thought that I'd complete 30 Melbourne marathons.
Others raising money for an important cause.
My dad's best friend, he passed away from brain cancer really suddenly in 2017. We've just ticked over $25,000 in the last 3 years.
Around 28,000 people ran over the 2 days, making this the largest marathon and half marathon event in Australia since the pandemic began.
We're just really excited to get Melbourne moving again.
Next stop,
Time for a beer.
Elizabeth Moss, 9 News.
Now, with a look ahead to the day's sport, here's Corey Norris.
Thank you, Dougal. Good evening. Tonight, all eyes turn to Adelaide for Thursday's second test, and the Aussies are sweating on a couple of injury concerns. We'll have the latest. Also, Aussie Oscar on top of the world, but he's not looking too far ahead.
Hopefully I can be champion of sitting on the couch next year, because that's about all I'll be driving.
The Melbourne Throwdown becomes just that as a fierce rivalry gets a little out of hand, and our aerial artists perfect their preparations for Beijing. We'll catch up with a father-son prospect who's set to leave AFL clubs guessing. That's all coming up a little later in Sport, Dougal.
Looking forward to it, Corey. Thank you. Well, up next, caught on camera, the Grinch who tried to steal Christmas decorations from a Clyde North home. Plus, a man attacked by a pack of wild otters on his morning walk. And thousands of superfans show their true colours at Oz Comic Con. A man is fighting for life in hospital after being hit by a car at Chadstone. Police were called just before 10:30 last night, where they found the pedestrian with life-threatening injuries. The female driver has spoken to police. No charges have been laid. A cold-hearted Grinch is stalking the streets of Melbourne. A man seeing some jolly Christmas lights decided to steal Santa's reindeer in Clyde North late last night. But the reindeer was wired with a security alarm which frightened off the would-be thief. The offender forced to jump in a getaway car empty-handed. Queensland's hard-hit tourism industry is ready to embrace an influx of interstate travellers when the border reopens tonight. Businesses are desperate to recoup their staggering losses, but still face one main challenge. Eddie Meyer reports.
It's the latest pitch for our tourism dollar. Queensland's government hoping Australians in other states have short memories about border closures. A more apt slogan might have been, beautiful one day, struggling the next. Just ask Cairns Joy Flight operator Chris Cooper.
It's been breathtakingly awful.
He started Zoom helicopters in the middle of the pandemic. To survive, he made his only staff member redundant and downgraded to a smaller helicopter. Now, there's hope again, with local hotels fully booked.
I know that there are going to be a lot of people in town, and really the type of business I'm in really is a post-arrival business, so people will arrive and then make a booking with me. So that I'm not too concerned that the order book hasn't started filling up yet.
The industry admits, bookings aside, it has to rebuild confidence.
That is the big challenge for us, rebuilding confidence with consumers that it is safe to travel, you're not going to be trapped somewhere, and you will be able to get home after your holiday.
But the big issue for all operators, getting the staff they need right now. The Queensland Tourism Industry Council estimates there are 3,700 vacancies across the state in tourism and hospitality, and only 8% of businesses that were operating 7 days a week before the pandemic are currently back full-time. This Stradbroke Island restaurant should be rejoicing at the prospect of a rebound. Instead, it's forced to close over Christmas and New Year.
For those 10 busiest days of the year, we have about half the normal staff that we'd normally require. And so we just can't open with the business model we have, and it's such short notice now. So we're going to have to close for those 2 weeks.
Storm clouds threatening to rain on what should be sunny days. Eddie Meyer, 9 News.
Afghanistan has staggered from one disaster to another, now desperate for foreign aid as the country endures food shortages following a nationwide drought. It coincided with the chaos that came from the final withdrawal of Western forces. Only now, months later, is aid resuming. International donors releasing almost $400 million to UN food programs. A gun battle close to Kensington Palace, the London residence of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, has left an armed bank robber dead. Witnesses told of 3 loud bangs as police closed in on the man. Just minutes earlier, he had held up a bank and a neighbouring bookmaker. And a man who was attacked by wild otters while on a morning walk in Singapore says he feared he would be bitten to death. Graham Spencer, who's aged in his 60s, was walking through the city's botanic gardens when about 20 otters ran at him, causing him to fall, then trampled and bit him. He was left with 26 bite wounds. After 2 painful years, Melbourne events are well and truly back with a bang. Thousands of superfans have packed Jeff's Shed for the final day of Oz Comic Con. Mark Santomartino got among the crowd.
Years hand-making every blade and piece of steel armour to look as real as they feel.
Punch me, go on, punch me.
Brought the twisted side of a long-dormant city back to Melbourne's convention centre.
It's a delight, it's a little bit crazy, and it's probably like the most wonderful feeling in the world right now.
Memes aside, one Spidey is never enough at Oz Comic Con or on the big screen, but the Aussie who tried to steal Mary Jane in the last movie...
Has no one else here noticed how shady he is?
...wasn't giving anything away before the sequel hits theatres Thursday.
I cannot say. They've got like these Marvel bodyguards around there, and every time they hear No Way Home, they're like...
Secrets Martin Copping kept for years before his breakout role in the new Call of Duty.
Folks like me are expendable.
The game's just been released, the film's coming out. It's a lot.
So is a sea of games on screens and tables, stages and stalls, and yet no Ghostbuster, triangle-faced guard or anime princess felt out of place in the company of their creators.
A reminder that, yes, people actually read your work. You're not just a strange person sitting alone in your house.
Months in lockdown have been spent perfecting every detail of these costumes for the biggest show of its kind in almost 2 years that doesn't just feel like a celebration, but a reunion.
Inside, if you could see the enthusiasm, it's going off, and it's the last day.
I see so many and I'm like, well, that's the best one. And then I see another one, I'm like, wait, no, that's the best one.
But nothing's better than returning to normal.
This is part of the healing. We've got to get communities back together. This is the biggest show at the end of the year, and it's a great way to finish the year. Let's just bring on 22 and get on with it.
Mark Santomartino, 9 News.
Justine Conway is here now with the latest on the weather, and this is more like summer, Justine.
Yes, finally, Dougal. It's been a beautiful day and the city's first real dose of weekend warmth this season. It reached 29 degrees this afternoon, and 12 days into December, it's just the 4th time the city's climbed above the average maximum of 24. It'll be even warmer tomorrow, but this trough is set to bring in a cool change, and it could even deliver a few thunderstorms. I'll let you know when that's expected to arrive a little bit later, Dougal.
OK, thanks, Justine. We'll see you soon. Well, new parents are being warned about the risks of camping with babies this summer. How to keep your little ones safe next. Plus, $5 billion worth of drugs up in flames. And music through the ages, the Docklands exhibition showcasing our city's rich history. Behind this furnace door, thousands of kilograms of illicit drugs are being turned to dust. Australian Federal Police have incinerated $5.2 billion worth of methamphetamine, MDMA and cocaine this year. Heavily armed police are on guard as the drugs are packed into vans and thrown into a fire burning at 1400 degrees Celsius. A new V-Line timetable started today, but it's claimed the changes will cause headaches for some country commuters. 14 services on the Bendigo line and 11 on the Ballarat line are affected.
That means it's going to take people longer to get to work, longer to get to their medical appointments, longer to travel to the city. This doesn't build any confidence in the network at a time when people have left it in droves because of COVID.
Earlier this year, some of the state's busiest regional lines were suspended due to major outages. Parents planning to go camping with their babies this summer are being urged to be vigilant around sleep safety. As Emily Rice explains, Red Nose Australia has released vital guidelines for families.
These summer holidays, new mum Irene and 2-month-old Mia hope to set up camp closer to home.
My partner and I do camp a lot, so we're definitely looking forward to taking the little one out as well. I'm originally from the Netherlands and I love the Australian outdoors.
Red Nose Australia says having a baby need not be a barrier to a tent or caravanning getaway.
There's lots of fresh air, lots of adventures to be had.
But with little ones, it is vital to follow safe sleep guidelines to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. A camping equipment upgrade may be required.
Gone are those days of the 2-man tent and a swag. We need bigger and quite often better.
That's because a travel cot, known also as a porta cot, is the safest place to lay bubs to rest inside a tent. Please do not add extra bedding to the porta cot mattress, as this creates a suffocation hazard.
The mattresses are quite thin and firm and flat, but that is exactly what a baby needs to keep them safe.
Not to have any stuffed animals or anything loose in the cot.
Make sure tents are well ventilated to reduce the chance of the infant overheating. Airflow is crucial in caravans too. Although it is a tight squeeze, room can be made for a porta cot by removing the table or other furniture.
If your caravan is quite small, just a firm and flat mattress on the floor is the safest option from there.
And never sleep a baby in a pram inside a tent, as again this puts the baby at risk of overheating. For those seeking time away in more luxurious digs, a hotel or Airbnb could be preferable. But the same sleep-safe rules apply with a baby, whether it's 1-star or 5-star accommodation.
It is just so very important to make sure that little babies are still placed to sleep on their backs with their faces and heads uncovered.
Do you want to go on a holiday?
Emily Rice, 9 News.
Maurice Payne has held talks with US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken at the G7 in Liverpool. The two met on the sidelines of the finance ministers' meeting to discuss AUKUS and other bilateral deals. Payne was a guest at the G7, where there is concern that Russia could invade Ukraine, and it was at the top of the agenda. The federal government has reportedly rejected calls to push back against a British court ruling that could see WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange extradited to the United States. The government says it is monitoring the case but will respect the UK legal process. Assange remains in custody. The British Home Secretary will make the ultimate decision on extradition. It's the largest collection of Australian music posters, and it's now on display at a Docklands warehouse. The Pasted and Wasted exhibition showcases a history of live music, all from the nights you probably can't remember. Elizabeth Moss went along.
It's a front row seat to Aussie music's Hall of Fame. From Cold Chisel to Kylie and everything in between.
You just pull out another poster and you go, oh my gosh, I just remember this artist, or I remember that artist. I guess that says a little bit about our age.
Pasted and Wasted is a time capsule of musical moments, the soundtrack to Australian youth.
It is impressive, isn't it?
The 1,400 posters belong to Nick Vukovic, but it's just part of his collection.
As my bank manager says, you are poster rich and money poor.
The self-confessed opera lover spotted his first poster in the early 80s under a South Melbourne bridge. He tracked down the printer, sparking a 40-year obsession. So just how many posters does this hunter and collector have?
People like to mention 500,000. Okay, fair enough. I do have 500,000. However, my private collection, one-off, is about 50,000. It is just like that, believe you me. The posters are above my head, starting from the ground.
This is the first time he's ever seen them on display.
I don't want to be so how should I put it, selfish about it. I prefer to share.
With eased restrictions allowing for the return of live music, it's hoped we'll see more promotional posters pasted around Melbourne to encourage people to support the industry. For Nick, sharing his love of the artwork is about one thing.
Memories. Memories, memories, memories.
Elizabeth Moss, 9 News.
Next in 9 News, the world-first medical discovery that doctors claim is like landing on the moon. Plus the multi-million-dollar housing project to help vulnerable people in Carlton. And a look inside the Melbourne Train Control Centre, where time has stood still for a century. Australian doctors have made a groundbreaking discovery in the treatment of heart attacks, and they say it's like landing on the moon. As Gabriella Rogers explains, they've now been given an $8 million boost to run a major trial.
Heart attack survivor Wayne Cook is the first in the world to be part of this new trial.
Try and help, well, me to recover as well, and anybody else who
has the same situation.
The 57-year-old from Perth had a major blockage in his heart.
I had pain in both my biceps and across my back. I still didn't think that the symptoms I had was a heart attack, but the pain was just excruciating.
He quickly received life-saving treatment. A balloon unblocked his artery and a stent was inserted to hold it open.
The nuts and bolts of our treatment for heart attacks have not changed for more than 20 years now. The rates of death and disability from heart attacks from that point hasn't changed. And that's because there is a fundamental serious problem that still isn't resolved.
1 in 2 treated patients also have blockages downstream in the microvessels of their heart, which increases their risk of dying.
These vessels are so small, so they can't be seen on the X-ray equipment that sits behind me, from which we do the angiogram.
Lead investigator RPA's Professor Martin Eng holds this tiny wire with sensors which measures blood pressure and flow. It's used to identify blockages downstream so patients can then receive a clot-busting drug. An earlier study funded by taxpayers uncovered astonishing results.
The flow down his heart muscle became normal. This observation is for us like a landing on the moon.
This larger trial will now involve more than 500 heart attack patients who are identified as being higher risk. Researchers recently received $8 million from an overseas biotech that makes the study drug.
It gives us an opportunity to provide new and emerging treatment strategies to try and improve the outcome amongst these patients.
Gabriella Rogers, 9 News.
Dozens of homes are being built in Carlton for older, vulnerable people, with at least half of the new residences to go to women. Females over 55 are one of the fastest growing groups of Australians to experience homelessness.
62 residents that are going to be moving into this facility in early January of next year have come straight off the public housing waiting list. These are people who have been part of our Homes for Homes project.
The Carlton North development will come at a cost of $40 million. These days, when you think of public transport, you think of high-tech upgrades. But if you look hard enough, you'll find some of Melbourne train tracks are controlled as they were a century ago. Adam Hegarty reports.
In 2021, it's a commute of the 21st century. Trains monitored kilometres away on computer screens, tracks controlled with the touch of a button at the new high-tech Kananook Control Centre.
Click the mouse on the signal here, and you click all the way at the end and the route sets up for you.
But tucked away on the 47-kilometre Frankston line, a 99-year-old relic where little has changed. Advancement is taking its time. Frankston Station operated not by computers, but elbow grease.
Well, this is like having an old Tirana with no power steering or air conditioning, and then up at Kananook is like having a place that's the first ever car with power steering and air conditioning.
An ode to the past. Names of controllers who've worked here etched into the century-old walls. It's that kind of job.
My grandfather was a guard on the rail back in the day. My uncles were guards and train drivers, and currently my father is a train driver, so I have rail in my blood.
Time, though, is finally running out. The computerised Kananook Control Centre this month expanding its footprint, as it will keep doing over the next 3 years, downgrading this piece of history to a short section of track before it's eventually phased out. For now, the new centre operates around 30 kilometres of track between Frankston to here at Mordialloc, where another signal box has already been decommissioned after 34 years of service, marking an end to tradition, but flipping the switch to progress.
Has obviously allowed us now to streamline the process with networks and make the system run a lot more efficient.
Adam Hegarty, 9 News.
What a great story. Now returning with sport, Corey Norris.
Thank you, Dougal. Up next, Josh Hazelwood out of the second test, now for a replacement, as the wounded Aussies get some handy R&R ahead of Adelaide. The crosstown rivalry that's gone to a whole new level. Verstappen lands a crucial punch in the F1 title fight, and double delight on the slopes of Finland. Australian selectors are facing an early call on our fast bowling stocks, with Josh Hazlewood set to miss the second test. There's reports tonight he's flown home to Sydney, with Jai Richardson his likely replacement. Ayrton Woolley with the latest.
Losing inside 4 days can certainly have its perks for a touring party. England hoping for a bit more luck on the fairways as their sore but satisfied hosts rested up.
Everyone's pretty good, yeah, all relaxed.
A good night's sleep might have been just what the doctor ordered for David Warner, who's set to overcome bruised ribs in time for the second test. But Thursday is set to come too soon for Josh Hazlewood. His side strain is only mild, but with Jai Richardson waiting in the wings, selectors have options. Even today, Michael Neser again put his name forward.
Neser bowls against short ball. Bahanan, he's caught.
It was tough going for Australia A's bowlers in the tour game against the England Lions, but Neser still managed 2 for 36 from his 14 overs. The Aussies will travel to Adelaide tomorrow in what will be a homecoming for Alex Carey.
Growing up, watching games there and you know, to have my family there is going to be very exciting.
The South Australian is just as excited about what fellow local Travis Head will produce after his man of the match performance in the first test.
If we see innings like that, you know, over the next 12 to 18 months, and he's going to be one of the best players in the world.
Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
Melbourne's basketball rivalry has gone up a level at John Cain Arena. The aptly named throwdown between Melbourne United and the Phoenix exploding after Mitch Creek dunked on Matthew Dellavedova.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, Creek took a body. Oh, here we go. And Mason Paintling barrels in over it. And tempers have flared in throwdown 13.
While Creek was given a technical foul for his celebration, United's Mason Peatling was ejected. The Phoenix going on to win 94 to 86. The gripping Formula One title fight is set to go down to the wire in Abu Dhabi tonight. Max Verstappen will start from pole after edging rival Lewis Hamilton in a tense qualifying.
They've been neck and neck for the most pulsating of seasons, and the final shootout for pole position had everyone on the edge of their seats. Verstappen set the early mark, one Hamilton couldn't quite match.
Crosses the line, he's not on pole in 2021. You can hear the roars of the crowd. Hamilton on the front row at best.
Leaving the Red Bull star in the box seat.
He's on pole and with the championship lead going into the season finale.
Oh, yes! Didn't expect that one, but amazing job, guys.
Incredibly happy with this. I mean, this is of course what we wanted.
And the Abu Dhabi crowd made it clear where their support will lie tonight.
Firstly, we've got a great crowd here, regardless of the booze.
No booze in the F2s, with a young Aussie on top of the world.
That is the champion with 2 races to spare.
Melbourne 20-year-old Oscar Piastri continues his domination behind the wheel. This, his 3rd straight title.
I wanted to get onto the podium to do some good celebrating, and we pulled it off. So, yeah. So happy.
His next step, a crack at the top level, but he'll have to bide his time as Alpine's reserve driver next season.
Hopefully I can be champion of sitting on the couch next year, because that's about all I'll be driving.
The wait is sure to be worth it.
Australian jockey Zac Purton has been caught up in a nasty fall in Hong Kong. It was in the Group 1 sprint where the scary moment unfolded.
Oh, there's a fall coming up towards the home turn. It's a really nasty fall.
Now, 3 jockeys, including Purton, have been taken to hospital, but all are believed to be conscious and talking. Unfortunately, one of the horses was put down. Well, Melbourne Victory has bounced back to climb to 2nd on the A-League table. In a fiery encounter against rivals Adelaide United, Victory grabbed an important 2-1 win on the road.
Squares it up, Valupale couldn't miss. Victory back in front.
Meanwhile, in the Premier League, Chelsea left it late against Leeds.
Jorginho! Manchester delivered the knockout blow!
That 94th minute penalty sealed a 3-2 win, but the Blues remain behind both Manchester City and Liverpool, who both recorded 1-0 victories. Well, Brisbane's all-conquering premiership team of the early 2000s is now set to shape the club's next generation of stars. The Lions have not one, but 2 father-son prospects, including Will Ashcroft, who will soon push his #1 credentials with Sandringham. Mark Gottlieb met them.
Most 17-year-olds can only dream of training with their heroes. For father-son prospects Will Ashcroft and Jasper Fletcher, it's reality.
When my dad told me there was a chance I'd train with the Lions, a big smile on my face, and I was so excited. I was just counting down the weeks.
Jasper's dad, Adrian, has become a familiar sight at training. For years, he was a familiar sight in the AFL.
The hardest thing for Jasper is I play for 4 clubs, so he's a little bit confused.
I remember Daniel Rich came to my birthday party when I was 7 years old or something like that, and just crazy now I'm kicking a footy to him.
While Will's dad, Marcus, is a triple premiership Lions legend.
Can he go all the way from 51 metres? Over the top he goes!
I think I'll be able to live up to hopefully that name one day, but for now I'll just keep working hard and the respect to my teammates and see where I can go.
Will is living with Hugh McCluggage after moving up from Melbourne.
He's a great kid. He knows what he's doing. He's cooked a couple of times and gets his washing done, so that's all I can ask.
Tipped as a top pick in next year's draft, Will hasn't decided if he'll nominate as a father-son selection, but the lure of the Gabba is strong.
Playing and following in his footsteps would be amazing. I've got my little brother as well, he's pretty young, 14, he's pretty keen to maybe follow after me and maybe play for the Lions together.
Mark Gottlieb, 9 News.
And Australia's Winter Olympic preparations have taken a giant leap, with our aerial skiers topping the podium at a World Cup event in Finland. Laura Poole claimed silver, while Danielle Scott went one better, a gold for her triple twisting double back somersault. The Olympics will be held in Beijing in February, and good luck to them. That's our Sport Dougal.
Great stuff, Corey. Thank you. Well, time now to check back with Justine, and we're in for a hot day tomorrow, Justine.
Oh, yes, we are, Dougal. Most of the state will be a lot warmer than today, and it'll nudge 40 through the northwest. A total fire ban has been issued for the Mallee and Wimmera districts. I'll have the full forecast for you next.
9 News presents 12 Days of Christmas. The local stories that will lift your spirits and fill your heart with pride. Everyday heroes giving back to the community. 12 Days of Christmas starts Monday on 9 News.
Hello again. Well, some lovely warm weather finally landed on the weekend. The city peaked at 29 late this afternoon. Overnight, clear skies and light winds dropped temperatures back to single figures for much of Melbourne. But once the sun came out, the mercury rebounded. Epping reached 29, Scoresby, Moorabbin and Tullamarine at 28. Sea breezes did keep it slightly cooler further south, 26 at Frankston, Avalon and Geelong and 25 at Rosebud. Once again, we've been under southeasterly breezes, and that kept it cooler through Gippsland, with maximums in the high teens and low 20s. Elsewhere, it climbed into the mid-20s and even to the 30s through the Mallee. Showers have finally cleared eastern parts of the state, but a moderate flood warning is still in place for the Snowy River at Orbost. A storm in the Coral Sea reached tropical cyclone status this afternoon. The cyclone named Ruby, and it's expected to strengthen over the coming days. Reaching Category 2 tomorrow, but it shouldn't have too much impact on Queensland. It's forecast to move further east before reaching Category 3 on Tuesday. Back home, hot and windy conditions are expected through the northwest of the state, so a total fire ban has been issued for the Mallee and Wimmera districts. There'll be plenty of blue skies early in the day, but cloud is expected to increase from the west, and northerly winds will strengthen ahead of an approaching trough. There'll be widespread maximums in the 30s up to 35 in Bendigo, 39 at Mildura, but the onshore breezes will keep it cooler through most of Gippsland, a top of 21 on the way for Mallacoota, 25 at Orbost, 24 at Sale. Isolated showers are possible across the southwest and Wimmera districts in the afternoon, and there could even be a rumble of thunder. The pollen is forecast to be extremes through southern parts of the state. Overnight minimum should stay in double figures across Melbourne tonight, mostly 13 and 14. Then it'll warm up into the low 30s during the afternoon. It'll be mostly sunny, but the northerly winds will be a little bit gusty, averaging 25 to 35 kilometres an hour. The city is only expected to drop to 15 degrees before warming up to 32. Then a cool and gusty southwesterly change will move across town in the evening, so daytime temperatures will take a hit on Tuesday, 23 cloudy in the city, and there's a chance of a thunderstorm in the nearby hills later in the day. Cloudy skies on Wednesday and 20 degrees with light showers and also the chance of a storm. A partly cloudy top of 21 on Thursday. It's set to warm up on Friday, 30 degrees. Then a scorcher next Saturday, 35, but it'll cool down on Sunday, back to 25. And we're in for a warm one tomorrow. For the city, a top of 32 after an overnight low of 15 under mostly sunny skies and gusty northerlies, but we will get that cool change later in the day, Dougal.
Great work. Thanks, Justine. And that is 9 News for this Sunday. Enjoy your evening and good night.